During breakfast, I was talking to my assistant, Jennifer, and I said, she was telling me about a movie she saw last night. I said, oh, where did you get it? At Blockbuster? She said, no, a friend of mine buys them from a guy on the street.
Consumers are bottom line driven. Yeah. And I know that, you know, in the film industry, we're getting beaten up every time we turn a corner. Lost sales with DVDs, Blu-rays, piracy. I believe that some studios may not release in certain countries now because of piracy. Because the second they release the movie, somebody in that country will pirate it and put it on the web. So, yeah, sure, we're losing billions of dollars a year.
Billions?
Billions.
I remember during the first SAG strike, when everybody left town because the commercials, I was doing commercials then, they still had to be made.
A studio is a union organization that on good days has its doors open and on bad days has its doors open. Now a smaller vendor can lay people off. A studio has annual contracts. So if there's a strike, the studio is still employing these people and they're still paying the rent. So they have a harder time making their money back, believe it or not, than an independent does.
And then when the strike settled, I truly believe corporate America just looked at the balance sheet and just said, you know what, sales aren't down, and everyone's still buying our products, and our ad budgets are way down because it was cheaper to shoot in Canada. So then they just made this decision across the board to cut the budgets, you know, because now they know that they can get the same amount of work done for less.
It's really hard when a movie costs $80 million to make it in Los Angeles, but it only costs $64 million to make it in Connecticut or New Mexico or Louisiana or New York. It's hard to tell the studio why they need to stay in Los Angeles.
As a producer, I look at my budget and think, okay, if they're going to give me back 40% on the money I spend, then I should spend everything there. I mean, I should hire a lawyer there instead of hiring a lawyer here to do all the contracts.
And a lot of it is trying to drive down to the cheapest way to make a film. And I have to be conscious of that.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, what do you really get for shooting a film in this location?
And I've talked to producers who say, well, we'd rather stay in California, because if we stay in California, I can stay at home, I can see my kids' Little League games, I don't have to go on the road for 4 months.
It's an incredible strain on a family, and many times my kids have pointed out the events I've missed, you know, and the times I just got home in time for Christmas to wrap the gifts and put them under the tree, or when I'm home, I'm not really home because I'm so exhausted from being away.
Nowadays, not only it's a case of going away from home, it's a case of selling your house and moving, for Pete's sakes, because people are just trying to pick up crumbs, frantically going from state to state, and that's playing wrong.
It's hard. It's hard to be away and miss those magic birthdays, the first time they walk, the first time they talk, you know. And
I have seen in this industry more emotional problems in families, more relation problems, more alcohol-related problems.
At the end of the day, you know, what's most important to most people is their family, their friends, and it's sort of a, you know, that's a consideration. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy being on staff, you know, having an executive job rather than being a producer.
But mostly what they say is, I want to stay in California because we have the best talent and the best crews on planet Earth. I want to stay in California because I can get what I need on a moment's notice here.
Commissioner Andrea Alarcon is at the Department of Public Works, and with her help, we revised the system there, which used to require for street closures at least 5 days, more typically 7 days to get a street closure, to now we can do it in 24 to 48 hours.
We can get a much better caliber of actor to star in a movie that takes place in that shoots in Los Angeles than shoots in some other city.
But the reality is, absent a true competition by California with these other states and countries, California will continue to lose this industry. And by the way, tourism in Los Angeles is so directly wrapped up in entertainment that if we cease to be the entertainment capital of the world, the tourism industry isn't successful here either.
But the tax revenue that's generated by all this economic activity from film production, that tax revenue goes into the general fund to fund projects all over the state.
It ripples down throughout the whole industry, the whole economy, in catering, in cars, and in you know, costumes. Everything is affected, and ultimately, when a film is made in Britain, I know this effect from Atonement, for instance, that it has a massive effect on tourism.
If you can't say these films were made in California, how do people come to California hoping to see stars, hoping to see filmmaking in the works when it's not happening here?
We can only do so many movies out of Los Angeles before the public starts to realize, God, Los Angeles is not the movie capital of the world. And when that happens, tourists aren't going to come here. And unless the leaders of this city do something, this great business is going to be a business that's not centered in Los Angeles anymore.
I would hope that people would forget some of the great movies of all time have been made in Hollywood.
I can see why movies have been made since the genesis of the art form. The light here is exquisite. The reliability of the light and the sunlight and the atmosphere of the place is just peculiar to Los Angeles.
And then you go into the crew base. I mean, the crew base does not get any stronger than LA.
I'm loving being an executive because it's allowed me to help shape our film community. It's allowed me to help create a physical production department within a studio and keep films in California whenever I can.
This is the base of the film industry. This is the foundation. So quality is readily available. I mean, first-class actors, they live here.
Anytime you need anything, you can make a phone call. If you need 10 stunt people tomorrow, boom, make a phone call, people show up.
Tell me an Academy Award-winning DP from Vancouver or Edmonton or, you know, they're here. They're all here. This is where people live. They want to live here because this is where the industry is.
All the resources are here. It's still, I think, the best place on the planet to make a movie.
Having said that, I do love working here because, you know, and it's fun to travel here. It's the best place in the world to make films. It's you've got an almost guarantee of great light and guarantee of wonderful studio space, crews. So it makes it easier to make great work here. And I know many director friends of mine prefer to bring films to California and Los Angeles for that reason.